The following podcast is a veteran-run entertainment avenue. The stories and lessons you'll hear within this entertainment medium are recollections from actual veterans. Correspondingly, the humor held within is crass, rude, inappropriate, and not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of ESV, or episode 448 of our Minecraft Let's Play.
Yeah.
Today, me and Jamie are going to show you that eating plastic is not as bad as you think. And to prove that, and to prove that turtles are bitches, we're going to eat about 9 pounds of plastic today.
Yes, 9 pounds of plastic with soy sauce. Did we decide soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce?
Wash your ass in a shower sauce?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go with wash your ass in the shower sauce. I like that.
It.
But yeah, well, DoorDash is on the way with our 9 pounds of fucking plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the pieces that go around soda cans. Those
microplastics.
Yeah, just 9 pounds of that shit. That's all we're eating.
Cutting them up into tiny pieces and just shoveling it down our gullets.
Yeah, but welcome to another episode of Emotional Support Vets, the podcast where we talk about would-be service members, veterans, and active duty boys and girls. We're just here to give you guys some laughs, some information, and some resources.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2. 2? Is it 2?
This is 1.
No, well, technically this is episode 1 because we did episode 0 last week, but, you know, Spotify doesn't let me put the numero 0.
Episode 1, The Island.
Is that what we're calling it, The Island?
Did you not look at the itinerary?
I didn't think that was the serious part. I thought that was like, you said, an example, The Island. I thought that was
at the very top of the itinerary, it says episode 1, The Island.
Anyways, just want to remind you that we have posted both episodes on our Spotify and our YouTube. Just look up Emotional Support Veterans. For YouTube, it may be a little difficult. I know I had some difficulty finding it.
Yeah, I had some trouble finding it too.
Freaking reason. But if you go to the filters and you type in channel, and when you pull up or when you type in Emotional Support Vet, it should pop up. But if not, we have posted our link to our Spotify on our Instagram, and I should probably put the link of our YouTube up on our Instagram too. I didn't think about that this morning.
That's all right. We can take care of that.
Yep, we'll take care of it for you. By the time you see this or hear this, it'll be there. But anyways, welcome back. Hopefully you came back. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, after last time. So the episode 0 was kind of like a super introductory thing that we did. It was a little bit more serious than we kind of wanted it to be. We did goof around a little bit. Yeah, but this time we're just going to hop right back in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're going to start with the tone that we want this series to have.
Oh, we're hitting the ground at 100 miles an hour today, fellas.
So,
ladies and gentlemen.
Given this, I'm going to tell you about the island dilemma.
Island dilemma.
Yes. You see, when I served, we were very, very bored on ship. And there was this particular critical thinking question that all of Weapons Company was asked. My lieutenant came to our platoon, and he said, hey, check this out. What would you do? And Weapons Company, at least my platoon, was pretty unanimous about all of our answers, but apparently this dilemma tore Echo Company apart. Now, I'm hearing this secondhand from an infantry officer, but they pretty much had a civil war over this question, over this dilemma that you can use. You are stuck on an island, all right, Caleb? You will never leave this island. There is no hope for escape.
I'm dying here?
You will die here.
Ooh.
You have all the amenities you need, food, shelter, this, that, and the other.
Islands or islands?
Islands.
Oh, fuck.
Right?
All right.
So, Island 1 is filled with hundreds of women. Now, every single one of these women are your idea of the perfect 10. You with me? Mm. They're your best friends. They hang out with you. You do whatever you do.
Yeah.
So, Island 2. Okay? Island 2 is the same thing, but it is your idea of the perfect 0. Hundreds of them. Now, you might be wondering, James, what's the catch here? Why would I choose Island 1?
That's exactly what I was
why
wondering.
wouldn't I choose Island 1, rather?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
the
there was
catch,
because it's you.
The catch is, in addition to being biologically female, right about where their belt buckle would be, there is a surgically attached, fully functional dick and balls. You cannot cut it off. You can cover it up. You can strap it down. You can ratchet strap it.
Don't.
Do you choose Island 1 or Island 2?
Wait, are you talking about all the perfect 10s have this?
Yes.
Oh, no. I want to see, before I answer, I want to know what the fuck y'all said. I want to know what, answer you all gave. Because I'm actually curious about this. Before I give my full-on devoted attention to this dilemma.
Okay.
And also, too, I want to ask the question, why the fuck did you think about this?
We were on ship, and we were really bored.
And someone just randomly came up with this thought?
Well, apparently someone
was this a collective theory?
No, apparently someone in Echo Company asked the question, and it spread to the other platoons. And then my lieutenant is friends with some of those lieutenants, and he came to our platoon, and he asked, hey, what do you guys think of this scenario? And we all thought about it, and it spread from 81s to Cat 2 to snipers. Weapons Company was pretty unanimous about it. Echo Company was divided, a house divided over this question.
Damn. Really?
Yes.
What was their answer? What was your platoon's answer? I have a feeling you all went with the ones.
Yes, we did.
See, I knew it. I know Marines.
The common thought process around
was
our
fuck
answer
it. Legitimately was just was fuck it.
It was I'm stuck on this island. Homosexuality occurs in nature, and it
occurs in the military
yeah,
more times than you can think of.
Even if I'm 100% straight, I'm not going to let that stop me from having a good time. Because you simply can't get it up with a perfect 0. You're not going to be able to.
Not if you're desperate enough.
Yeah, you're going to have to look.
Desperation makes you do stupid things.
You're going to have to look at an extra curvy trout and hope for the best.
Like Pearl from SpongeBob, huh?
Yeah, we had 2 guys in our platoon. I only remember the names of one of them.
They went with the 0s?
Where they went with Island 2, and their entire reasoning was, I would know that it was gay. And it's that is so because of the presence of a dick.
Wait.
That is enough for you to say no all the way through?
This is hard.
It's really not.
It's not, but at the same time, I can see where the dilemma comes from for most people. But at the same time, it's you gotta let me ask the final question: is this island the only place in existence with life on it, or just period? I'm not getting off of it.
You
no
will
rescue.
not get off of it.
I'm going with Island 1.
Good man.
Sorry, if I'm gonna die, I want to die.
You don't need to apologize for not being a weak man.
You're also a weak fucking man.
Weak men choose Island 2.
I'm taking Island 1. I have no shame in it.
Yes, because
legit,
you're a strong man.
Legit. If I'm gonna die on this island, I'm gonna die surrounded by beauty.
Yep.
I will ask for forgiveness later.
A lot a lot of the guys I would talk to about this, they'd just be like, "Oh, well, I just go from behind," and it's like, brother, I don't think you understand the severity of this situation. They are not perfect ones. They are not perfect twos. They are perfect zeros. Your idea of the perfect zero. The thought of touching these individuals would be
like the definition of zero means like zero.
That's bad. Looks, personality, the way they talk, their opinions, everything.
Body odor.
Yes.
Everything.
Like you would not be able to get within 3 feet of one of these people without wanting to puke.
I don't know. I don't know how to follow up on this, dude. I don't think I've ever been asked a question like that in my life. Man, there's a reason why I joined the Air Force. Damn.
I got more.
Oh, God. If it's anything like that, ask. Ask away. Fuck it. Why are we here if we're not going to ask away?
Oh, my
God
gosh.
damn it.
So you're an Island 1 boy.
Yeah, Island 1 all the way.
Very good.
If I'm going to die, I'm going to die happy.
I asked this question. I used to work at a different place than I work now. And it was a team of about 5 or 6 guys. And I asked this question to them while our boss was out. And every single one of them said Island 2. And I said, why would you not choose Island 1? Like, I don't think you understand just how, like,
bad
the individuals on Island 2 would be. And they said, well, like, I just hit it from the back. And so I explained that to them, why it wouldn't work. And one of the guys was like, I think you've been playing too many video games.
I don't think video games.
And I thought to myself, my brother in Christmas, what video games are you playing where this is the plot?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be my next question.
I want to play that video game.
See, the thing is, too, though, is like if I was to choose Island 2, the only reason I would choose Island 2 is that it would justify the reasons of me like strapping a rock to my ankles and then just going out to the deepest part of the ocean and staying there and never coming back. But, yeah, I'd take Island 1. I think, honestly, if you were to ask that to any sane person and you took like the percentage or the average between the two, I would probably, I would put money down that the majority of the people would have said Island 1.
I think so.
Majority of people, no matter where you stand. It doesn't even matter where you stand. Like, none of that is in question. It's just a simple answer. Do you choose 1 or do you choose 2?
Because, I mean, at that point, other people's opinion on the matter isn't going to be taken into consideration.
You're going to die on this island with the people who... Well, see, and the thing is like, when you think about it, like, I would choose 1 no matter what. Like, even if I didn't do anything. Even if I didn't do anything. Because you said you're surrounded by your best friends. They're the greatest people you've probably ever met. And you're going to die on this island with no rescue. That's how I would want to spend the last bit of my life. Yeah. But surrounded by people who actually like me and want to hang out with me and just have a fucking good time. Fuck yeah. Why would you go to Island 2 and suffer?
I have a follow-up question.
Oh, no. Is this,
Caleb,
real quick, is this an ambush moment?
No.
Was this planned? This is planned.
The episode's called The Island. And so what I'm about to ask you is a part of The Island.
Oh, no.
Caleb, would you experiment?
Experiment what? You mean, like... Don't ever look at me like that ever again, dog.
Would you experiment?
Mm-mm. Would you? I have a feeling you said yes. Did you answer this? Did you ask this question with all the other friends?
No.
Oh, this is the ambush moment.
You were
right
working
here.
You were working with unique characters, unique people with extra hardware. Would you experiment?
Honestly, probably not. Probably
really?
not. Yeah, probably not.
You scared? Do you think it hurt?
No, it has nothing to do with being scared. It's just there's no interest. Like,
how do you know if you've never tried it?
How do you know if you've never tried it, sir?
I'm gonna try it.
That balloon got shot down real fucking fast.
You're stuck on that island for the rest of the time, and you're telling me you wouldn't get a little curious?
Probably not, to be honest.
So, do you think, like what? Super glue, duct tape, ratchet strap?
But I would have to bushcraft it up. Like, take some palm trees and make rope tied around the waist.
So you wouldn't want to see it?
Eh.
So would you, like, strap it to a leg or, like, up?
Can we move on? Because I think you're getting too into this one.
I mean, we can. I was just curious.
Like, I'm not bothered. It's just I'm concerned.
You know what's funny? Neither of those two follow-up questions were in my mental script.
Until now?
Yeah, just because you were so flustered by the reaction.
That's the ambush. That's the ambush. Right there. All right. Would you? I know. Well, you already said you would.
No,
so it's just going to be like.
I'm going to get bored.
So just angle of the dangle. But you're surrounded by like multiple. Like you said, how many? Hundreds?
Yeah.
And you would get bored?
Probably. You're stuck there for the rest of your life, man.
Listen,
and you have all the amenities you need.
If there is hundreds, I'm not going to get bored. I just wouldn't. My mind would not go, I've hit almost every single one of these. Now it's time to swap it up. Like, no. I would not get bored enough to like just think about attempting.
I think I'd be pretty quick about trying it. I'm 100% straight, by the way.
Just straight up, I think I'd be pretty quick.
What? Just being honest.
I'm sorry. Oh God, that was good. Sorry. That was fucking good. What other questions you got for me? Let's get away from this. Let's get away from this.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Okay. What actually is the next? Oh, it's mill slang of the week.
Ooh.
Which is funny because this will actually work for how you're feeling right now.
Mm. In the black?
In the black.
In the black? I've never actually heard that term until like you recently said it to me. What does that mean?
So in the black comes from what we learn in boot camp called Cooper's color code. And it's like this color-coded system that we use, or I don't think we use it anymore, but we used it to determine someone's psychological state.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember every single one. I think white was like relaxed and unaware, green was something, yellow like heightened state of awareness, red danger. I'm probably saying them wrong, but black is catastrophic mental breakdown.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Like you cannot function.
Got it.
And with that, a common phrase to like draw humor to situations would be, "Are you in the black or what?" Like if you're in the shit and it's pouring down rain, you have no cover, your weapon's soaked, your camis are soaked,
and you're seeing your buddy just staring in the middle of that foxhole.
You walk up to him, kick him, and say, "Hey, you in the black or what?" But that is what in the black means.
That's actually pretty good because like. That's in my opinion, that's a better way of addressing your buddy.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of guys don't like being asked, like, "Yo," like, because I would probably say like you'd get a better response instead of you going like up to somebody and like nudge them like, "Hey, you good?" Because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get the answer, "Yeah, I'm good."
Yeah, I'm fine.
But they've got that 1,000-yard stare off in the middle of the universe.
And like if you want to take it a step further, you can even look at your buddy. Like Michaela and I say this to each other, like jokingly. We're like, "Hey, get out of the black."
Yeah, Michaela said it earlier, and I was like, "Damn, she knows."
Yeah.
Well, she's a Marine's wife, so she knows.
Yeah. But yeah, that is what in the black means.
Nice.
Mental catastrophic breakdown. Okay, and
what's another question you have? Because you said you had more. What happened? Like, I've never been in a position to be on a boat. I hate boats.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
Yeah. Well, because I you know me, I hate the ocean. I am entirely like enthralled by the ocean and the mysteries of the ocean, but you would never, ever get me to go on a fucking boat.
I mean,
so what was it like for you for being someone who is also in that position?
Let me tell you this, brother.
Other than you have to, because there's nothing, you can't beat it. If you have to, you have to. You gotta get over it.
Let me tell you this, boss. Shit got weird. Shit gets weird when you're stuck on a ship with a bunch of dudes for like, what was it, 2 months straight?
I don't know how I like the sound of that after hearing that fucking question you asked me, and then
let me give you an idea. There would be evenings where you, your boy, 2 of your other boys would gather around a laptop. I'm not joking. I about to paint myself in a. I'm about to paint Marines in a bad light.
If this is about to get erotic,
Okay. Not directly erotic. There would be moments where we would get so bored on ship that one of your boys would open up a laptop, and we were so freaking bored. We would watch porn together and critique it.
that's, you know what? That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I'm not done.
Oh no.
So there was a Suicide Squad porn that was making the rounds. And there is a moment where Batman and Joker are having a moment.
Oh no.
And a key phrase is said. And I'm not going to say what the action was, but Batman looks at Joker. They're doing it in the sewer. And Batman says, "Do that thing I like." He says that, and that's how you could kind of tell where whoever was watching it was at, because like roaring laughter would happen, because you never thought you'd ever hear Batman say it like that, and that became one of our phrases that we would say on ship whenever we were like doing something goofy, or we would pass each other. It wouldn't be, "Hey, what's up?" or "Rah," or "Hey, what's good, man?" It'd
Do
be,
that thing right
Do that thing I like.
You know, you gotta get the Christian Bale.
Do that thing I did. Come on, you going.
I need a real job.
Can you imagine?
I don't want to. I didn't need to. I watched it.
Oh God.
Shit got weird on ship. If you're ever on ship with your buddies,
I swear to
it's
God.
gonna get weird. We had actually a really good friend of mine got so bored he shaved his eyebrows and wasn't allowed to go on Liberty for some of the ports because he looked so fucking scary.
Stupid. Oh.
You ever seen The Descent?
Yeah.
Those monsters?
Oh, the ones that've been hiding in the cave?
Yeah, that's what he looked like.
Oh my God. Dude, can you imagine? Okay, so one, I want to address, I've never been so bored in my life that I've watched porn strictly just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Just as comedy. I've never watched porn for entertainment. That's crazy.
It gets rough.
Oh man.
People don't pack enough entertainment on their laptops. Like, I had my gaming laptop with me.
I'm not gonna lie, I was actually really worried about where that was going when you first started talking about it. 5 dudes surrounding a laptop and you're watching the Suicide Squad porn. I thought you were about to tell me something that I
you
didn't
thought
want to
we were
hear.
going to play the biscuit game.
Oh God.
You ever heard of the biscuit game?
Nope, I don't want to keep it to yourself. That one, I'm putting a limit. I don't want to know what that is.
Well, there's a biscuit.
Oh, shut up, James. Shut up. Move on. Move on.
The last one has to eat it.
No!
We can edit that out if you'd rather. No. You've never heard of that?
No! No, I haven't. Oh my God.
It's a good thing we're not live streaming.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh man, we're not. I don't know. You're editing this one, so I'll leave it up to you if you lead that in or not. That is up to you, dude.
Well, we said the humor was going to be dark.
Mom, Dad, I'm sorry.
Oh, they're watching this, aren't they?
They might.
Ooh.
Oh well.
Mom, Dad, I miss you. I wish you didn't die.
Oh God.
You know what Caleb said to me last night?
Oh, shut up.
He said, I think we should have some non-military talking points. And now I'm giving him non-military talking points.
You know
Look
what?
at
I
him.
wasn't expecting this part. I was not expecting this.
That's why I put in the itinerary. This is probably going to take a while.
I legit thought we were going to talk about shit like, you know, John Wick versus Leon Kennedy.
Oh, we will. We'll get to that.
Oh my God, I'm actually really excited for that one. To be honest.
Yeah?
I have like such a good argument for that one.
Oh, ooh.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a solid argument on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
man, the biscuit game. I didn't think that was going to pop up today.
you can use a Triscuit if you want.
Shut up.
Some wheat thins.
Or-
Pile of wheat thins.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh, now the question has to be asked. Please tell me you didn't like partake in that game.
It's not a real game, Caleb.
Oh, well, dude.
Did I sell it then? Well,
I fucking hate you. It's the stupid ass, stern ass like look you get. Like you literally get dead eye.
I'm very dedicated to my bits.
Dog, like stoic. You have no waver in the look, like a disappointed fucking father. That's why it sells so good. That's twice today. You've got me.
I'm very good at that.
Within like 2 hours, I have fallen for something like that.
I thought you were talking about when you made a dad joke and like a dead dad joke, and I looked you in the face and you thought you were gonna die.
There was that. I made. Oh no. I don't know if they're ready for that for episode 2.
What?
Oh man, there needs to be context before we start going into those.
Now I'm going to go on a 45-minute rant about how my father died and how that has affected me to this day. I was only 9 years old.
Oh no.
That's from what is it? That viral Shrek video. Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
Oh god. I forgot about that fucking thing. No.
You're welcome.
He entered my room.
Don't. We don't need any more of that. So, are you done being scarred?
God, I don't think. I knew we were going to be on some shit today, especially when I pulled up to your house. Like, we were on something this morning.
Yeah.
Like, we were on it, and I didn't know it was going to turn this bad.
Can we move on? There,
Yeah,
that's two.
yeah. No, I'm ready.
Do you know what our next talking point is?
What?
It gets significantly more serious, unfortunately.
Ah, it's okay. We can make it funny. What's our next talking point, sir?
Our next talking point is the strange phenomenon about how, I don't know how it is in the Air Force, but it's definitely this way in the Marines, where all the higher-ups like strive and tell you over and over again about how the culture is a group of professionals. And how professionalism is the most important thing, and how we're these professional certified killers, and that we should treat each other professionally. But the culture from E6 to E7 below it's not conducive of that at all.
No.
Like, it's actively shitting on each other, actively screwing each other over, and like there's the weird disconnect between those two things. Is the next talking point.
But as a disclaimer though, it's not like that everywhere.
Yeah, of course
it's like
not.
select places where you'll find that. Really.
Well, I've seen it everywhere I've been.
I mean, I didn't go many places, and I saw it everywhere too.
Yeah.
But I did have friends who actually did get to branch out a little bit, and they did tell me that not everywhere is like this. Yeah. It gets better on the other side. But the problem is like, yeah, that's great, but you got to make it to the other side. But no, I get it. Yeah, it really comes down to the type of leader that people turn into. We kind of touched on that last time.
We had a master sergeant that, like at my second unit, he would call you like slurs.
Ooh.
And would mean it.
Ooh.
And like he would like go out of his way to like shit on you.
Yeah, no.
But like his boss would just preach over and over and over again that we're this professional group of like certified killers.
That's in my opinion, that's just bad leadership. Did he ever? I don't know how it is in Marine Corps, and maybe this makes it sound like, I don't know. Maybe people may not like this, but did anyone ever like report the guy?
A couple tried, but he was. This is also a big thing. When you're that close to retirement,
no one's gonna give a fuck. He's out on his way anyways.
Like we had a person that was trying to help someone with the symptoms of PTSD, and he overheard that conversation and went off. It was like, you don't know what PTSD is, yada yada, and like completely unnecessary. Like, I don't know if they did or not, but this guy was just the biggest jerk, and I always found it peculiar that like his boss would not shut up about how we're these professional individuals.
Yeah. Like,
always give the proper greeting of the day. Marines don't curse while in uniform. like treat each other with respect, like counsel and coach one another. But that same exact Marine is staring at like even sergeants that do that to their guys and just like wiping his hands of it.
Unfortunately, like that's the sad part about some leadership is like they're just there to preach. They're there to hit their points and to present themselves in front of the group, and then once that's done and they've made that point, it's not their problem anymore. Good leadership would listen to their guys. Good leadership would learn from their guys.
And like you could tell, depending on like the staff member, that's kind of how they were raised in the Marine Corps. And like I am like, bear in mind, my entire first unit was like that. Like I was a part of that culture. I'm more talking about the puzzling nature of it. How like the higher ups will say you need to act this way, but the people that are underneath them, subordinate to them, don't, and it trickles down.
Yeah, pick one.
And I just think that's an interesting, like, I don't know if paradox is the right word. I don't think that's the right word.
I don't think it's an oxymoron.
I don't know. I joined the Marines. What do I know?
True. I don't know, dude. Like, it's really weird touching on that because, like, it's so embedded. And unfortunately, it's like when people even, like, try, a lot of the times I've seen anybody that's tried to bring up, like, the subject and actually talk about it, they just get shit on. It's just like, why don't you just grow thick skin? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with thick skin. I have thick skin. But, like, I didn't put on this uniform to be called a racial slur. Like, I just didn't.
Yeah.
I did not. And honestly, it's 2023. Racial slurs are kind of overrated or over now. Like
it's like it for me. It's more like I wish you'd pick a script so that I can act a certain way.
Yeah.
Because when I got to my second unit, they made me platoon sergeant, platoon daddy, if you will. Mm-hmm. And in my first unit, you did not talk while word was being passed. You shut your mouth and you looked at the platoon sergeant.
Yeah.
And when I got here, they made me platoon sergeant, and there was a couple of really quiet whispering conversations going on. People were like jabbing each other with their elbows, and while I was passing word, and I had never seen that before.
Yeah.
And like I slammed my notebook, threw it to the ground, and like looked at one of these kids, and I was like I kind of raised my voice a little bit. I was like, "Stop talking while I'm fucking talking."
Yeah.
Everybody was quiet, and like I felt really dumb. And I picked up my notebook, and the master sergeant called me into his office after, and he was like, "Hey, I understand you were from an infantry unit. You got to tone it down just a little bit. These guys aren't like grunts. They're trained differently than grunts."
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's, in my opinion, that would be good leadership. Like, he pulled you aside, had a man-to-man conversation with you. He is your superior, but he's also your teacher. And he's like, yo, dude, you know, these guys aren't like what you're used to. It's okay. You know.
Yeah, he was completely respectful about it.
It's like, this is how they operate. If you can learn that, it'll be better.
Yeah, and like he told me, like, take it from someone who grew up in this MOS. Like,
that's good
screaming
leadership.
Does not work with these kids. Like, disappointed dad works with this particular group of kids.
And as much as y'all don't want to admit it, and I mean, I'm talking about like this for everybody, me, you, anyone that's been in service or is in service. As much as we don't want to admit it, like the whole, you know, yelling at them is going to get through to them. It doesn't fucking work.
Sometimes it depends on the guy.
It depends. Well, it depends on the dude, but that dude. I found that the guy that you have to yell at is the guy that doesn't care about anything. Because I had one dude like that when I was active duty. He was brand new to our shop. He just came over from England. He was a senior airman. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he's still in or not. But I was on my way out of active duty, and it was my job. Well, I got put in charge of training the airmen on my shift. Like if there was ever a job, I'm the senior airman on shift. We had this guy who was a senior airman and like two A1Cs that I needed to spin up, and we had 4 aircraft they needed to learn. So I was on my way out, so I'm sitting there teaching them, and the 2 A1Cs were doing what I need. No, 3 A1Cs actually were doing what I needed them to do. You know, I'm showing them hands-on, because I know I learned. Like I asked them, I was like, "How do you guys learn? Do you guys learn from reading and seeing diagrams? Do you learn hands-on?" Every single last one of them said hands-on. I was like, "Cool. We have a helicopter out in the hangar. Let's go." We all went out there, grabbed the TO, took them out on a helicopter. I let one of them pick a job that they wanted to get good at or get to learn.
I love that.
And so I showed them where it was, and we were running through it. And I'm telling them, you know, how this thing works and how it fits into the system. And if something goes wrong, pretty much teaching them the basics of how to troubleshoot and then remove. And so I'm sitting there, and I have my head inside the helicopter, and I look up, and I see that instead of 4 airmen, I have 3. And I'm like, "Where's such and such?"
Always one.
I was like, where'd he go? And they're like, "Oh, he's over there." And I peek over the helicopter. Motherfucker is wandering around the fucking hangar, twiddling his goddamn thumbs. And I was like, "Dude."
What are you doing?
I was like, "What are you up to?" And he was like, and legit, me as a teacher, if I'm spending my time trying to literally help you, and you don't listen, and I go, "What are you doing?" And you hit me with the, I want to punch you in your fucking face because you just wasted my time. And so I looked at him. I was like, "What do you mean, Get your ass over here." And he walks over, and I was like, "You 3 sit there." I handed him the tools. "Show me what I just showed you." And he's like, sat there and stared at it. I was like, "You can't, can you?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "Cool." I was like, "Sit your ass down."
Imagine that.
And I'm going to run it through you again. And you want to know what happened? The staff sergeant on duty, who was also a piece of shit. I'm also not saying his name because I'm pretty sure he's still active. He was one of those that when he made staff, he felt like it wasn't his responsibility to do any of the grunt work anymore.
Right.
He was just going to do paperwork. And
what's the staff in the Air Force again?
Staff sergeant.
E5?
Yeah, E4.
No,
E5. E5. Sorry, I'm an E4.
Staff sergeant's E6 in Marines.
But
interesting.
Yeah, he came out and was like, "Hey, just do me a favor." He's like, "I know you're training them and all." He's like, "I know you're a senior airman, but don't cuss at them." I'm like, "1, I didn't cuss at them. I cussed at him. And 2, you cuss at me all the time."
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I was like, what does me telling him to sit his ass down have to do with anything? It's like I didn't tell him to, go fuck himself. That's a different story.
Right.
But, when I'm trying to teach you, and it turned out that this was a normal, reoccurrence with this airman.
This is a normal thing with this kid?
Yeah. He didn't care. And it made sense, after I got out, because I talked to a buddy of mine that was still working with him when I left, and homie was on his way, getting kicked out.
Damn.
Because he was just fucking up. He fucked up. And he even, to the point to where, leadership pulled him into the office and was like, "What is going on with you? What is happening? You're messing up too much. You're gonna end up hurting your career." And he apparently flat out told him, was like, "I just don't care." And I'm like, if you don't care, why did you come here in the first place? And unfortunately,
some people are like that, man. Sometimes they'll get all the way through training, and we even had a guy in MCT that refused to train.
Yeah, it's
he got. I imagine he got kicked out.
Yeah.
He got all the way through, and then decided this isn't for me, and he got kicked out.
But the thing is, it's like I said, there are gonna be people like that no matter where you go, and unfortunately, there are people like that in service. But at the same time, it's don't waste my time. I don't care if you care or not, but you're not about to come out here and waste my time.
But the reason I was kind of going into that is because I took what that master sergeant had to say to heart, and I employed it. I started to make an effort to become more professional in all aspects, and I thought it was so funny because we got a gunny that came in, and I distinctly remember this conversation because it just blew my mind. And he was new to the unit, comes over to me, I'm the radio chief, and he's like, "Hey," not his section, by the way. And he's like, hey, have we done this with the record jackets? And I'm like, huh, I've never heard of that. I'm not quite sure what you mean. And he takes a step back and he's like, whew, okay, give me a second or I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And I just remember standing there like, what are you talking about? You haven't even presented a concept and you're threatening to blow up on me?
Yeah, you haven't even presented the problem or even told me how I've possibly messed up.
Like, dog, will you relax and just have a conversation with me?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for all I know, your idea could have been mint. But now I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a stupid thing that you want me to add that I really just don't want to listen to because me and the boys are busy. What have you got?
Yeah.
It's that weird disconnect between you're going to be professionals and the culture doesn't like allow it to happen. That happened many times.
I wouldn't even say that it's allowed to well, yeah, it is allowed to happen because because they say one thing and then once that little meeting is over, it just goes back to normal. And that's across the board. It's the same way. It was the same way when I was active. It's like they would I don't understand the point of bringing in hundreds of your people into a meeting, into like an auditorium or something, have this whole blown out fucking speech about we need to be better and yada, yada, yada. But then the moment you finish your speech, everything goes back to normal and nothing you said matters. It's like if you want things to change, hop on it.
There are no initiatives to help incentivize that change.
They want... like everyone knows that leadership, no matter where, is a trickle-down system. If you want your people to change, you have to change. If you are in charge of these people, you have to show that this is what you mean. Because then eventually, once you show people you're serious, they're going to start being serious. And then that trickles down to lower, and then trickles down to lower, and trickles down to lower. And now you have a system and an environment that is professional, works well, communicates well, and so on and so forth. But I cannot stand, I can't stand leadership that's just like all high and mighty for maybe like an hour, and then we go back to doing the same bullshit we were doing that day.
It's inescapable.
Yeah, it's like either you choose to be serious about it and show us the initiative because, like I said, trickle down, you show the initiative, everyone else under you is going to show the initiative. But like, no one's going to take you seriously. And that whole entire hour of speech that you just gave, anytime you call us in now, no one's going to fucking listen to you. Because everybody knows it's not going to change anything. That's like my biggest gripe about that.
Right.
It's like, if you want to be professional and you want a professional environment, show people that you're being serious about it.
This actually, I'm about to hit you with an ambush, by the way.
Oh, here we go.
This one isn't nearly as bad as the one earlier. But this conversation, it kind of got me curious as to what disciplinary medium worked on you so well that it floored you.
Like floored me?
Yeah,
like changed me?
Like it worked on you better than you thought it would. To give you an example, I can go first.
Yeah, go first.
When I was the daddy radio operator for a weapons company, I was responsible for accepting our group of gear during one of our deployments for a lot of the guys. I would like help oversee it, and the process is long and monotonous, and it's awful. And so we got all of our gear and our radio systems, like the whole nine, and there are particular radio systems that you never use depending on what your platoon does. And we had a couple of these radio systems that we were just like, okay, give us the box with all the parts, close the box, tape it shut, never going to mess with it. What you're supposed to do is go through the inventory jacket and make sure you have all the pieces to it. But in my mind, I was like, nah, like, I'm never going to use these. I'm not even going to bother. Seal it shut, throw it in the back. We're never going to use it. And you got to be careful with that, because when the time comes to give the gear back, if you checked off that a piece of gear was not there, or it was there and it's not, you have to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
And if it gets above like a certain monetary threshold, your company is called. I worked directly for a master sergeant when I had that gig, and I did the wrong thing. And I did not actually check for those pieces of equipment because I assumed, we're not going to use the gear, so why worry about it? Well, we were just over the monetary threshold because we didn't check that gear. And so my company commander and my master sergeant came down, and I thought, this is it. I'm done. Like, they're going to scream at me. They're going to be like, how could you do this? Like, we trusted you, but now we don't.
Yeah.
Like, you're a piece of shit, Henthorn. You want to be a leader, this, that, and the other. And I was ready for it. And my master sergeant pulled me to the side, and I smoked at the time. And he asked me for a cigarette. And I was like, yeah. Like, sure, why the hell not? I'll give you a cigarette. And so I gave it to him, and he was like, why don't you have one too? You seem stressed out.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you know what time it is?
Oh my God.
Jamie, do you know what time it is?
What time is it, Caleb?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hydrate. This is the point in time of the podcast where you grab your water apparatus, you suck that shit down. It is middle of summer. You gotta stay hydrated.
This new gig I'm working, I'm in the heat a lot. Yesterday, I had 7 bottles of water.
That's that good shit.
You sure you want an experiment on the island?
We're gonna edit that part out.
Okay. Okay, so at the same time we do hydration time, we also do, what's it called? Resource of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this resource is for active duty boys. This is a resource I took advantage of and something that not a lot of you kids probably know about. It is called the DoD Skill Bridge Program.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, to be honest.
I did this. Like, it's awesome. So what you can do is you could do your transition readiness. I think it's a year out, your TRS class. And once you do that, you can look into the Skill Bridge program. You need... excuse me. You need a bunch of different pieces of paperwork, but it's not as scary as it looks. And each coast has a DoD Skill Bridge representative that you can go to classes and learn how to do this. But the way that it works, it's essentially getting you ready for a job on the outside, whether it be a certificate, a guaranteed job interview, or a license
Well, that's
of
sick.
some sort. And the way that it works, if you play your cards right, what I did was I contacted an insurance company and it said, hey, I would like to come work for you guys as kind of like an intern while I get my licenses to work with insurance. And if you play your cards right, you could spend the last 6 months of your contract getting a certificate or a trade license or certificate, whatever they need.
That's cool.
You could, even if it gives you a guaranteed job interview,
Damn.
you can use the last 6 months of your contract, do all your checkout stuff the month before you leave. And so 7 months before you get out, you're not going on ops.
Yeah.
You've already had your final physical. You're not going to be doing any difficult PT. You get your PFT, your CFT, all that trash out of the way, turn in your SIF gear. You can get out essentially 6 months early and set yourself up for success.
Damn.
A lot of kids don't know about this. And
that would have helped me out coming back out because, like I told you, when I came out of active duty, I came out initially right around the time that COVID started.
Right.
And I could not get a good job because no one was hiring because they were focusing on those with actual certifications and everything because no one was quitting and they only had specialized areas to fill.
Right.
And I couldn't get a good job because I'm 6 years active duty in Air Force, but I don't have these certifications.
Right.
And they weren't I guess it wasn't enough for them to give me a chance. So that actually, damn, I wish I had known that.
There's when I was in and I was doing it, a lot of kids didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And they recently made it to where one of the pieces of paperwork says you can do a DoD approved Skill Bridge program, or you can do your own. And you can contact someone that will take you if they meet the, hey, you get a license, a certificate, or a guaranteed job interview.
Okay.
But I'm telling you this so you guys know, from what I hear, they stopped doing non-DoD approved gigs because so many people were doing it, and I don't know. But there is a list. You could go on DoDSkillbridge.com, and it'll tell you Air Force, Army, Marines, whatever. You can filter it by location even.
Oh.
And it's, I don't know if there's any truth to the, like, not being able to do non-DoD approved skill bridge programs.
But I mean, that's what that's what this information is for. It's to spark people to do their own research.
Yeah. I started from the ground up on this process. I knew nothing about it. And a lot of what I learned after I dug for a little bit was that they held classes. This is on Camp Lejeune. So if you're stationed in Camp Lejeune, I already know this is a thing. There is, every Wednesday, there's a DoD Skill Bridge class that the East Coast DoD representative gives, and you can get more information on this. Like, it's an entire, 45-minute long class. And the guy will walk you through all the paperwork, what needs to be on each piece of paperwork. Like, I printed out every piece to this package. Like, I think it was I say every piece. I think it was only 4 or 5 pages. Yeah. And I sat in his class, and I wrote in the boxes what needs to go here. Wow. What signatures, 04 and above, section chief or platoon commander signature here. And then I printed off a new set of papers, and I just carried it over. I took it to my boss. He took it to their boss. S1 administration, they're going to give you shit for it. Just keep that in mind. That was the most difficult process for mine.
Were they really giving you shit for it?
It's a classic thing in the Marines, is that admin always is a roadblock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's anywhere, honestly, unfortunately.
And I submitted my package when a lot of the cool cats in admin were not there anymore. Yeah. And it was the classic, hey, take this package, go back, fix this, and then bring it back to us. You go back to your computer, you fix everything they told you, give it back to them, they look at it, oh, fix this too. And it's well, why didn't you tell me that the first time? Yeah. They say, sorry, we didn't catch it. They give it back to you. You go back, you fix it. You give it back to them. The staff or the sergeant looks at it. They're like, fix this, 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 and that. They give it back to you. You take it back, you fix it. They give it to the staff sergeant or the gunny. And it's okay, you could have told me all these corrections and not wasted precious time on this.
Yeah. You could have at least given me the person who knows what to do here. God, I hate that shit.
That's going to be your biggest hurdle in getting your top signature. Yeah. The rest of it's pretty easy, but this is a thing. You can get out 6 months early and set yourself up for success if you do this right. But bear in mind, if you're the bee's knees, your company might be hesitant to let you go. Yeah. Or so make sure you cross-train someone.
Also, the opposite, too. If you're a piece of shit, they may not even give you the time of day. Make sure, make sure you're on your stuff. You don't want to mess up an opportunity like that. If you're a guy that doesn't care, hate to tell you the truth, you're not going to get much help.
They got no reason to stick their neck out for you.
Yeah. And that's just a plain and simple way of doing it. That's anywhere. That's anywhere. That's a lesson learned.
Your company will know if you're, say you get the 6 months by some miracle. Yeah. To go and, you come back to get your DD 214. That's it. And your company will know if you haven't been going where you're supposed to go, because the company that you're working for will reach out and they'll be like, hey, why isn't he here? Yeah. And your company can also, sorry.
No, you're good. So don't take advantage of that. Don't think that you're getting out 6 months early and that's a free card. No, you're supposed to be doing something.
Right. And depending on how good you are, it's up to your company to decide how often you check in with them.
Damn.
And my master sergeant, the same master sergeant I talked about earlier, who told me hey, maybe calm it down. He was like, dog, I 100% trust you. Like, check in with me like once every 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, man.
I know you're going to be doing the right thing. And yeah, that is a little hip pocket nitty gritty on the DoD Skill Bridge program. And again, any of these resources that we tell you about, if you're like, hey, I want more, we're going to be doing TikTok reels about this to where we make these kinds of things significantly easier to understand.
TikTok reels, but weren't we also going to plan on putting like that information on our Instagram too, like making resource posts?
Absolutely.
Like, so give us some time because we're still getting everything like up and running, but
Still in the baby stages.
we're really doing our best to try and make this like a good resource point for people. So give us some time. That stuff will be on there. We're working on it. Promise. But
But anyway, we were talking about
punishments.
Yeah. And I set up all that backstory for that time where I did the wrong thing and didn't check my gear, and the company was on the hook for all that money. And the master sergeant pulled me to the side, and he asked me for a cigarette because I smoked at the time. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, let me grab one for you. And he's like, you look stressed out. Why don't you have one too? And I was like, he's going to like smack it out of my hand and like start screaming at me. He takes one hit, draws it back from his lips, and he's like, Sergeant, you realize I'm disappointed in you right now.
Oh.
And I'm like, yes, Master Sergeant. And he's like, takes another slow drag, so fucking dramatic. Takes another puff, and he's like, but you also understand that I trust you to fix this. And I'm like, thinking to myself, you are not disappointed dadding me right now. Please, scream at me.
Yep.
Scream at me at the top of your lungs. Anything is better than this. And he asked me that, and I said, yes, I will fix this. And he was like, cool. Throws it on the ground, stomps it out, and he's like, I know you'll take care of it. And he just goes away with the company commander.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, Mike,
But see, that...
so not used to that.
But see, that is what happens, though, when you can be trusted. When you are on your P's and Q's, that's what we've been kind of harping on today a little bit. It's kind of been like the background theme of the day, really. It's
What?
like if you
Mind
are
your
like
P's and Q's?
Yeah, be on your P's and Q's. Don't be a boot. Don't be a boot. Be that guy that cares.
Yeah.
Because when you do your job right, and when you do your job really, really well, that moment, because everybody's not perfect. You know, you're not God. You're going to mess up.
Right.
But those moments when you do mess up, your leadership's going to, if they're good leadership.
Yeah, that
is a big one.
I was 4 years in when that happened.
Yeah.
And that hit me, that caught me so off guard and was so effective because it never happened.
Yeah. When it's good leadership and they know that you can be trusted, they will do exactly that. You might get hit with the disappointed dad talk, but they trust you to fix it. They know that it was a mistake. They know you're not used to making mistakes, but they trust you to fix it.
Did you have like a weird disciplinary thing that worked on you better than you thought it would?
It wasn't like a disciplinary thing. It's kind of like similar to yours. So,
or like a time where you let down someone you looked up to?
Well, so mine kind of like it doesn't go as high as like platoon commander. It doesn't. Mine was with my RO, my first RO, one of my best friends.
What's an RO in the Air Force? The reporting officer?
Reporting officer. So he was the guy when I first got to station. He was the guy that was in charge of me and in charge of getting me spun up on how everything works, training me, making sure I'm doing like my...
Sounds like a sergeant.
He is a sergeant. So, yeah, but they called him an RO.
When you say RO, I think like your officer.
No.
Because that's what ROs are for us.
Yeah, well, I get different things, I guess.
Is it kind of similar to a section head?
No, not section head, because he wasn't like a shift leader or anything. He was just a staff sergeant. That because when in the in Air Force or active duty at least, when you make a staff, whenever there's a new airman coming in, you get assigned an airman. It is your job to get them spun up, get them housed,
Really?
like making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Like a mentor-mentee program?
Mentor-mentee program,
Huh.
pretty much. And so my mentor, who actually became like one of my best friends, and we're still good friends. Like his children call me uncle. That's how close we ended up getting.
Okay.
Um,
I kind of have that same thing with my very first sergeant.
He was the guy that, to put it to you this way, he took care of me the right way.
Like a sergeant should.
Like a sergeant should. He knew that there was bullshit at that station, and he knew that there were people that like to cause bullshit at that station, and he did all he could to keep me away from that bullshit to help me stay focused and become a better airman.
Right.
And the amount of shit that he actually caught for doing that pissed me off more than anything. Because, like, dudes would make jokes about, like, oh, is Airman Woodson going to be suckling on your teeth? It's like, no, dude, he's doing his job the way you're supposed to be doing it. At least he's not a toxic fuck, you know? He's actually teaching me.
So what did you do to piss him off?
What
did you do, Caleb?
Ooh, boy. I started getting into a bit of a depression as one does halfway through my career, and it actually started affecting my work ethic.
Yeah.
And there was a point to where I was just fucking up left and right, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was messing up. I'm not gonna lie. I was so down bad that I just didn't focus on anything, and I didn't care. And I'll admit it. Like I was out for a solid year. I was a trash ass airman. Like I was a dirtbag. Showing up to work late, and I was on night shift. There's no way you show up to night shift late unless you have a valid excuse.
Right.
I never did. And so it got to the point to where, like, you know, the shop chief pulled my RO into the office, was like,
what's going on with your boy here?
Yeah, something's going on with Woodson. You need to talk to him because he's fucking up. Like I was fucking up so bad that if I had shown up, people pulled, like, some of the guys on my shift pulled me aside because they heard through the grapevine. They were like, dude, you really need to focus on getting here, because if you don't, they're talking about giving you an Article 15.
Ooh.
And that's not good. Article 15 sticks with you for like 3 years, I think.
What's the difference between an Article 15 and an NJP?
Article 15, I believe, is
it worse?
It's serious, but I believe an Article 15 can go away. I think an NJP never goes away.
Yeah, that was the common threat in the Marines was you'll get an NJP.
Yeah, Article 15 can go away. It takes like years for it to go away, but it'll go away eventually.
Right.
As long as you don't fuck up. But if you fuck up again, you're gone. And depending on what that Article 15 is, will dictate if you stay or you go. Like there are ways of getting Article 15 but stay in service, but there's other Article 15s that'll get your ass lit and gone. But that one at the time, if I remember correctly, was a really bad one. Like I could have lost my career because I was showing up to work late. It was counted as dereliction of duty.
Yeah.
Like I was so close for them making that call.
Damn. You must have really been going through it.
I was going through something, and it wasn't a good time for me. But you know, there's one day, you know, it was a weekend, and I would come over and we'd all hang out, and he pulled me outside, and, you know, he handed me a cigarette because I was smoking. I smoked socially during this time.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and he's like, "Little brother, come with me." And when he calls me little brother, I'm like, oh, I fucked up.
I'm about to get it.
Something's wrong.
I'm about to get yoked up.
I was like, what I do?
Smoke checked.
And so he pulled me outside, and we're sitting there smoking, and he's quiet for a second. I was like, dude,
need to say something.
I need you to fucking say something because you're freaking me the fuck out. What happened? Because at that time, I was more scared I got his ass in trouble.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. He looked at me, and all he said was, "You know you're fucking up, right?" And I'm like, "Fuck." Because when he said that, I snapped out of it. I was like, "Fuck." Fuck, dude. I was so upset because I had only been thinking about myself. Because not only does it reflect badly on me, it reflected badly on him.
Right.
And it immediately, like, my brain snapped in. It's like, do you not know what this man has done for you and gone through for you just to put you in the position that you're in right now?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that until he said it. And I was like, shit. dude. Like I told him, I was like,
I bet you fixed yourself up real quick.
bro, hell yeah, I did. Like I was still going through my things, but I made sure I was at work on time, and I was training, and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. Like I was still not back to my old self, but I at least was doing my job. I was there to do my job and my job alone, and focus on my job. So, yeah, I squared away real quick. But like, it's funny because like I've never. I think the closest thing to military discipline is they made me do an aircraft wash like 3 times in a row. That shit pissed me off, and they didn't even tell me why I was doing it. Because aircraft wash really, like airmen, they would claim that airmen were on cycles to do aircraft wash because aircraft washes suck. If you're washing a C-130,
I bet that sounds ass.
it's fucking ass, dude. It's not. Oh, it's so stupid. But
sounds like PMing trucks.
yeah, we were supposed to be
Marines.
on cycle, and what would happen is like the airmen in the shop would go on a cycle. If I did it, the next airman does it, the next airman does it, the next airman does it, until it comes back to me. So not one person is getting shit on and going and doing these stupid ass aircraft washes. The acting shop chief at the time, who was a dirtbag, made me do it 3 fucking times. And I'm like, I literally said, I was like, why am I doing this again? I was like, we're all supposed to be on a cycle, but you have made me do it 3 fucking times. And it was always some shit ass excuse. Like, this dude's got training and yada. I was like, this dude's got training next week. Aircraft washes this weekend.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, it was bad.
Gotta love it.
But other than that, the worst thing that I went through was B looking at me and like, you're fucking up, right?
Kind of like similar.
Yeah.
Mine and yours.
It's dad. It's the dad talk.
Yeah.
The dad talk sucks, man. But yeah, that was probably the closest.
It was definitely either that story I told you about or one of the very few times where I disappointed my sergeant. But that we don't really need to go into that. How are we doing on time?
We are at 1:17, so we got about 15 minutes left.
Okay. That'll be a good way for us to segue into our last talking point, kind of, which is
preparedness. Be prepared. Is it?
No, that's what are we doing? Talking point 3.
Oh, sorry. Worst field operation, and how do you wish you would have prepared for it? See, here's the thing, because like I never did a field operation. I never got to do a deployment. I never got to do a TDY. None of the shit. That's the disappointing thing about my time in New Mexico was I was part of a special operations wing, but we were a training base. Unfortunately, I hated being on training bases too.
Yeah.
Like, because they didn't do anything.
That sucks. You spent all that time there and you didn't even get to do anything?
And the crazy thing is I volunteered.
Damn.
I volunteered for deployment because I was like, I need a change of scenery so bad that I volunteered for deployment twice to Kuwait and never got to do it. And then I tried going to North Korea 4 times and never got to go.
Damn.
Yeah, so field operation. I could probably say one of the sketchiest things I've ever done.
That'll work.
It was middle of December, and if for those that don't know, New Mexico gets snow. Like, it was a shock for me when I first got there to realize that place actually gets fucking cold. Like, really cold.
New Mexico?
Yeah, and they have blizzards. So I'm on night shift, and it's like the middle of December. We have it's one of those points in maintenance time period where things are slowing down, where we don't have like a lot of work because they're not running a lot of planes because it's so cold, or B, the planes just aren't breaking. That'll happen sometimes in maintenance. Right. Like, you just won't have planes break. But we did have scheduled inspections. So that night we had an inspection on the in-flight refueling receptacle on a C-130J.
Right.
And what that is that there's a door on the top of the C-130 where a flap lowers down, and then they can hook up to the boom of a refuel plane in the air.
Okay.
So if they're doing long distance, operations and they need to refuel, they can refuel in flight and then just keep going without having to land. So one of the birds came up and needed a in-flight refueling inspection done. And there's this little, not little, it's huge. There's this device that we call the donkey dick. And
Y'all have a donkey dick too?
yeah, dude. Yeah.
We got donkey dicks too.
So it inserts, and then what it does is that it mimics the actions of the boom in the refueling jet. So
Right.
it's supposed to connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect, and everything's supposed to work the way it should. It was my first time. I've never done this because this is when I was still brand new. I want to say this is like my first winter in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so one of the guys looks at me and is like, "Have you ever done this before?" I'm like, "Nope." And they were like, "Well, you're going to do it tonight." I was like, "Cool." You know, this was when I was still gung-ho and wanting to, like, learn.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's
Well,
go.
it's really sketchy.
I bet.
It's super sketchy because you can't get over the receptacle and push the device in without, the way we have to do it is we have to hook up a harness on us. The harness hooks up to the crew ladder.
Oh, jeez.
You open the door that leads to like the top of the plane and you go outside. So you climb up the ladder to on top of the plane, and then you've got this harness on, and you're practically hanging your ass over the nose of the C-130. And the only thing that's holding you there is a fucking harness attached to that ladder. And you've got this device, and you're pushing it in, and when it kicks out, it kicks out. Like, you have to hold on to it, otherwise it'll shoot out. Like, it's not super hard, but it's got like you'll hear a ka-chunk.
I bet it's scary, kind of.
Dog, my first time doing it, it started snowing. The wind started picking up.
And you're just hanging there naked.
But they haven't called winds yet, so operations are still going. I'm seeing the C-130 rock back to back, and I'm hanging over this
cradling
fucking
like
nose,
a baby,
dude.
just hoping for the best.
Yeah. And I'm like, I was like, yo, this is sketch as fuck, dog. And the dude's like, shut the fuck up and just do it. I'm like, no, it's cold.
I want to live.
Snowing, the plane is rocking. And they're like, yeah, we know. So they forced me, like, they had me hanging over the. Also, mind you,
You'll be all right.
There are safety, regulations we have to follow. So there were 2 stands pushed up against behind me. The problem is like, when you really look at it, because this is what the safety procedure calls for. You get 2 maintenance stands that can go on either side of the C-130 like nose, and that way, if like the harness fails, something catches you. Problem is like the way you're hanging off the fucking nose, you're going straight back. That you can't get these stands like right up, but directly behind you, because they'll hit the mirror, like the windows, and you can't do that. So they go on either side of you.
Ugh.
So really, if you fall off and you reach for that stand and you don't grab it, you're still going. See ya. So really, the only thing got you there is like, it's the harness. So I'm sitting there and I'm like pushing this thing in and out, and the plane's doing this, and it's starting to snow. So I'm like wiping snow off my goggles and shit. It was a mess. It was probably the sketchiest fucking thing I've ever done.
So that's what they call the donkey dick?
Donkey dick, yeah.
Is the refueling thing?
Yes, it's a remake of like somewhat close to like the refuel receptacle and how it actually functions.
We called the donkey dick 2 things in the Marines.
Oh no.
And one of them was a type of antenna, so not all Marines called it that. Just radio operators.
Yeah.
And another one was, you know, the JP8 gas cans?
Yeah.
You know, the little node that you put on top, and it's got like the nozzle that makes it easier to pour into a vehicle?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I remember another radio operator with headquarters company telling me about a time where he was in the field, and they had just gotten a new lieutenant, and she had just come from the Army, and so she wasn't used to the slang that we use.
Oh no.
And they were refueling a vehicle, and he said in front of her, yes, ma'am, I'll refill this for you. No problem at all. Let me just go grab the donkey dick real quick.
Just didn't think about it.
Didn't think about it, and apparently her face went pale, and she was like, just stood there, like dazed, like, what? Are they screwing with me right now? And, like, he comes back with a donkey dick. He starts... It's so weird to say it. He starts screwing it onto the JP8 canister.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, Marine, did you say donkey dick? And he was like, oh, yes, ma'am, that's what we call this. Like, I don't actually know what its real name is. And she was like, oh, so you'll just call it that. It's just a nickname. And the kid was, I don't remember who told me this story. I honestly don't even know if it's true. But if it is true, it's kind of funny.
It's funny as hell.
But, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. The worst field op I've ever been on, and probably everyone that was there with me would agree, would be Bridgeport. The winter package training we did, Bridgeport, California.
Yeah.
Like 10 feet of snow.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely abysmal. Like, I'm talking, you're up there, you have your cold weather MREs, you boil some water, you put it into the MRE pouch so it can heat up. You take your they called it a happy jacket, a happy suit top, because it made you happy because you weren't as cold when you wore it. And you would pull your arms in, you'd put the heated MRE under your jacket, and you would sit there. And that was your 4 minutes of happy for the day.
Because it would heat up?
Yes. And you would get somewhat warm, if not for like 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes.
Dude.
And to give you an idea as to what the conditions were like, we had, in order to take a shit, you had this cabin it was just 4 walls, a window, and a push door. And there was snow in here. I'm not joking. It looked like something out of a serial killer movie. You walk in, and there's a bucket. A heavy-duty bucket. And they give you something called wag bags, where you rip it open, there's a bag in there, you have to get your own toilet paper, you wrap it around the bucket, and it was the most dehumanizing thing, bro. You would take off all your layers, you'd put your rifle up against like the wall, and you're freezing your balls off. And you're trying to take a shit, but you're so cold and you're shaking so much that squeezing one out is horrible. You've had nothing but MREs, and the shits are already difficult enough as it is. And so you were just like...
So your stomach's on fire, but nothing's coming out.
And if you weren't religious going into Bridgeport, by the end of it, you were. I want you to imagine just sitting there, you're freezing, like you're trying not to fall over, and you're just shaking like this the whole time, just
trying to take a shit.
Praying, like, please, I just want this torture to be over with. And then once you're done, you're cold, you're miserable.
Your asshole hurts.
It's so cold, you can't even tell if you wiped well. Like,
bruh.
You're putting all your warming layers back on, you grab your rifle, you feel good. Because you know you're not going to have to do that for another 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Because MREs.
Yeah.
And like I think it comes with like this powder for you to like dump in it so it doesn't smell. And then you zip it back up. And then you walk your happy ass like 100 meters that way. You dig a hole.
And you drop it.
And you drop it. And then you bury it. That is what Bridgeport was like. It was awful. It was horrible.
Jesus.
And my wife's family makes fun of me because anytime someone mentions the cold, I'm like, did I ever tell you about Bridgeport? And they're like, yes, Jamie, you told us about Bridgeport.
Oh, man.
They're not actually like that, but I feel like they are sometimes. But,
dude.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
It was, you know how there are some things in life where, like, you're glad you went through it. At the time, it sucked. But, like, looking back on it, you're happy you dealt with it because it made you stronger. Fuck that. Fuck that. If I could take it back and never have gone through it, I would in a heartbeat. It sucked, bro.
Oh, man. I can only imagine. Like, yeah, like I said, I never did any, like, field ops or anything like that or really got to do anything cool.
It wasn't cool.
I mean, It made stories though.
The other stuff we did was sick. Like,
Yeah.
awesome even, but not Bridgeport.
No, yeah. I think honestly, yeah. I mean, I got to see some cool things and be a part of some cool things, but not as cool. They were cool for like what I was doing.
Right.
Because like I said, we were part of a special operations wing, so I got to be around like pilots, special mission aviators. Coolest thing I did see though. And I shit you not, this is a true story. You will. Some of y'all probably won't believe me if you listen to this, but we were working one night, and it was like 3 o'clock is when, like 3 a.m. is when they cut off operations. That's when all the aircraft come down, they park, and then it's just maintenance from 3 to 7 a.m. And then around 8 o'clock a.m. is when flying resumes. Right. So I shit you not, we're on a C-130. We get called out to a C-130. We're out there. We're trying to do ops check, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. And this helicopter, we had Hueys. We had Hueys and we have Pavehawks, which is like the Air Force's version of a Black Hawk for the Army. This Huey, so a lot of the pilots for the Hueys were civilian pilots. They were instructors. Well, you had the civilian pilot, you had the training pilot, and then you had your special mission aviators, and sometimes pararescue when they were going to do their training ops, right?
Yeah.
And so I knew it was a civilian pilot at this point, because the C-130 tarmac, there's like it's like a big L. So you get from like the start where they start parking down, and then it goes around the facilities and turns into an L. So the whole entire like L strip was for C-130s, and the helicopters would taxi down the taxiway in front of those C-130s. So we would see them coming in, and like we'd have to put on ear protection because we're within like 100 meters of these guys.
Yeah.
Well, give or take. And so this dude comes taxiing down the runway. Mind you, it's 1 a.m. And at first, I didn't know what I was seeing until I really paid attention. So he's coming in straight, but then all of a sudden I see the Huey rock forward and then back.
Oh.
So he's rocking
gosh.
it. He's rocking it back and forth. But as he's rocking it back and forth, he's doing circles.
That's so scary.
Dude, it was terrifying, and like I swear he got in trouble. He had to have
There's
gotten
no
in
way
trouble.
he didn't.
There's no way he didn't. And I knew it was a civilian dude because the actual military pilots would not have done that shit. Because he's still going down the taxiway, and he's just rocking it back and forth, but he's just doing a stationary like circle all the way down the fucking runway. And I'm sitting there like, we're all just sitting here looking at this dude like, what the?
That's anxiety inducing.
Dog. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And he did it for a while, and then he stopped when he came to park. But I was like, can he do that? And everybody was like, I don't think he can.
I don't know at this point.
So I don't know if that guy still like gets his job or not, but holy shit, it was pretty cool when I saw it. I was like, I didn't know they could do that.
We were on a operation where we had what's called XCon, where a certain part of the unit plays the bad guys.
Ooh, I bet those were fun.
They can be. More often than not, they're not. They're grueling. Just to give you an idea as to how like well put together my mortar boys were in my 81's platoon.
You've told me a couple stories about your mortar boys.
Yeah, this one will be really quick. We were told we dropped in on the bird with all of our equipment, did some missions, this, that, and the other, but there was the time for us to do the defense part. And there was like a simulated assault on our compound. XCon came over to us and said, after like the first hour, they were like, hey, you guys aren't allowed to play anymore. They said that to my platoon.
Y'all were too good?
We were way too good. We like my FDC guys in the gun line, they were so hot shit. They couldn't reach the compound.
That fucking A, dude.
Like,
that's great.
The simulated enemy force, my boys were slaughtering them way too fast.
Talk about pride in your work, man. That's dope.
Like, I remember the FDC chief, myself, and the lieutenant. We were laughing
because they were like, hey, we got to be quick about this, like on the draw, like as soon as you hear it, Henthorn, like draw that shit up, like we're gonna kill these guys, like, and it was simulated rounds, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that is a lie. They were not simulated rounds. It was all notional. We weren't actually firing anything, but the FDC guys had XCOM guys checking their math to make sure our rounds would have shot in the right place. Because, we can't blow our boys up.
Yeah.
And they were double checking our math, and they were like, man, these guys are calling these fire missions really quick. Like, let's spin the boards, plot where their shots would land, and cross-examine that to where the enemy movements are. Let's see if they're just pulling it out of their butt to look good, or if they're actually hitting
On
where
point,
the target would be if this is a real scenario. And we destroyed them. They checked our math. They're like, yeah, take 81s out of this fight. Like, let's see how let's let the defense play. Let's test their defense. And they said, y'all post up behind that hill. You're not doing mortars anymore. My guys were good.
That's it.
Isn't that cool?
That would make me, if I was a radio daddy, dude, I would have a hard on. That's so much pride in one go.
I kind of did.
You checked up?
We were all like, man, we're
Fuck
pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Like this
We're
is
all
a
a
good
bunch
feeling.
of good boys out here. We're gonna die out here.
Yeah, my lieutenant, miss him terribly. Great guy.
Mm-hmm.
He could not stop laughing. He was just like, man, have you ever heard of something like this before?
You
Where-
can't play anymore.
Essentially
You
what they
guys
told
can't
us.
play anymore.
It's like something on a playground. Like, you guys aren't allowed to play anymore. You're too good.
That's great, man. Well, I mean, that makes me like that makes me have pride for you guys. Like that's sick. Like I never got a chance to be in a position like that because like I said, Air Force culture is different.
Yeah.
But like, if I was in your shoes, I would probably be the proudest dude on that
I was
field.
very proud.
Yeah, I bet.
It was a lot of fun. We posted up behind a mound, and the compound was getting raided.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a bunch of guys just swarm in, and my lieutenant was like, "Wait a minute, everyone get down." And so we got down, and we were at a choke point. They had to come through there if they wanted to get to the rest of the compound. And he was like, "We're gonna wait until the majority of them come through
And hit him and just cut him off.
and just lay waste to them."
Dude, that's good leadership. That's good fucking leadership
But I
right
was
there.
I felt like a kid, dude. I was like, "Oh man, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them so good."
Dog, that's dope.
But anyway, I feel like that's enough for that
No, that's good.
topic.
Because
kind of went off the rails there.
with that story wrapping up, I guess the next question would be to stay on the list now to get back to where we were is the vice of the day, the military advice of the day.
Oh yes, the Skill Bridge program. I think I might have said it wrong. That was the resource
of the
day.
Yeah.
And this is the active duty advice of the day. And this is something that is near and dear to me.
Mm-hmm.
Something I really wish I would have done, and something that I will encourage all youngins to do.
Dude, yeah. When I saw it on here, I was like, "Damn, that's a good point." Because I can't tell you how many days I get up and I miss my boys, and I'm like, man, I wish I had pictures to show my family.
Yeah, the active duty advice of the day is, especially if you're in your first unit, take pictures.
Yeah.
If OPSEC allows it, if you're allowed to take pictures of the times that you have with your boys.
Document it.
Don't care if you're gonna look like a boot.
Mm-hmm.
The culture in my first unit was so anti-boot, and so you don't want to look like a boot.
Keep going.
I was so scared of looking like a boot that I never took pictures. And I probably have very little, probably less than 20 pictures of me and my boys when we were out there, and I regret it immensely. And when I got to my second unit, I would say that to all the new guys and be like, when you get the opportunity to do something really cool and OPSEC allows for it, and you're not like spilling secrets or anything, take pictures. And there was more than one occasion where I would find staff within earshot that they would come over. This happened to me in line for dental, where I was telling these complete strangers, they were like 2 PFCs and a Lance Corporal. I was like, hey, you guys want some friendly advice from a sergeant? And they were like, oh, yeah, sure. And like I told them that, and there was like 2 staff sergeants in line in front of me who heard this conversation. And they turned around and they were like, listen to this sergeant.
Yeah.
Like, I am in the same boat this sergeant is in. Like, I was too afraid to look like a boot, and I didn't take pictures with a lot of the guys that aren't here with us anymore. And I wish I did.
Yeah. Document it, man. Document it. Because you're never going to know, like, I never thought on my way out, I never thought that I'd miss it. But then, taking a year, I do. Like I did. Like I started missing my friends. I started missing my boys. Started missing like all the good times that we had. And it made me realize like, damn, I took no pictures of anything while I was there. I may have like a few, but I don't have a lot of them, And now that I'm in the Guard, now I take pictures.
Yeah.
I take pictures now.
I have some pictures from deployment, but I wish I had taken more, like, when it was just me and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just being goofy and smoking and joking and all that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's our active duty advice for the day.
Yep. And now moves into the 4th and technically our last talking point.
Yeah, kind of.
What is the weirdest thing for you to get used to on the outside?
And this is kind of for veterans or soon-to-be veterans.
Yep. And this one's actually a good one, too. I think, for me, the one thing that it took me the longest to get used to, and still kind of does, like, I'm still, as someone who has spent time in the civilian world and then went back, but it's still technically kind of like a civilian, because I'm only traditional, slowing down.
Slowing down?
Yeah. So, like, when I first came home, because when you're active duty, it's go, 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 go.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Like, you wake up, you go to work, you get off work, you go home, you wake up, you go to work, you get off work, go home.
It's very regimented.
There's a lot of free time when you become a civilian. Because when I first came home, I was still waking up at like 7 in the morning, expecting to hear Reveille. Reveille.
You guys actually call it Reveille?
It's called Reveille.
Really?
I believe so.
Well, I mean, I know what it's called, but like...
Yeah. I mean, that's what I know it by as Reveille. Because like where my house was, it was not on base, but it was owned by the base, but I was right across the street from the base.
Right.
So I would still get woken up by the and I would still wake up to that, and that would start my day.
That would play at 7?
Yeah.
We had something like that called Colors. And that goes off at 8 every day.
It was sometime in the morning. It was early in the morning when it would go off.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
It was still close enough to my house that I would still wake up to it. And then when I came home, I was waking up at 7 in the morning, still expecting it to go off.
Yeah.
And I would wake up, not hear it, and then realize like, oh shit, I'm home. Go back to bed, but I couldn't go back to bed. So like at the time, my girlfriend at the time would like get really like not annoyed, but she'd be like, "What are you doing up?" And I'm like, "I can't sleep. I'm awake." So getting out of the mindset of, I have to be doing something, I guess,
right,
was the hardest and weirdest thing. Like slowing down and being in your space was really kind of hard to adjust to, or weirdest to adjust to.
I'm trying to think. For me, I probably should have thought of this a little bit better earlier. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is not having intent to carry out. I know that sounds kind of strange, but
explain that.
Being a sergeant in the Marines, there's always like an overarching, at least for me, my experience was there was always an overarching goal to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And my daily kind of mental layout of how I was going to accomplish those goals, I would accomplish them through my Marines.
Yeah.
We would work together and like say, hey, this is the plan of the day. You guys are going to do this. You guys are going to do that. I'm going to work on this, and when I'm done, I'm going to go out there with you, and I'm going to help you turn some wrenches.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good? Anyone have any questions? Anyone have appointments? Because there was always that overarching thing we needed to work towards. Like, for example, the inventory records, when I first got to my second unit, they were kind of wonky. And so we had like a 8 or 9 month initiative that I like rolled out to where we would get it all spick and span.
Mm-hmm.
And while preparing for like other ops, like I would always be juggling those things in my head and telling, hey, you two form a team. You're going to work on setting these radios to the side. The remaining like 5 or 6 of you, you're going to go help with the inventory stuff. We're going to make this spick and span. I want to get done with these 4 groups of radios by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Because it helps that overarching goal of us doing this. Not having that on the outside made me feel really empty.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that kind of fits into what I was saying too, like the slowing down, not having something like you wake up and you realize, like,
you're right. Yeah, I'm seeing it now.
When I get to work, I've got to get, and tool room inspections coming up, so we got to get prepared for that. Got to get to do spun up on their training, so on and so forth. But when you come home, it's just you, and then you're like, for a while, you're kind of there, just like, well, what do I do?
You know what might have been the cause of that?
Hmm.
Not having a team anymore.
It's not
Like
being
the
surrounded by your
loneliness-
team.
Yeah, the loneliness of not having a team.
Yeah, because for a while, like, I didn't do anything because I didn't know what to do. Because I was always surrounded by my guys. Like, we always had something to do. We either had a job to work on, or we had inspections coming up, or we had something to do. And then when you wake up that morning and it's like, well, all I have to do today is wake up and make eggs for breakfast, and then what's for the rest of the day?
That's weird.
Yeah, So I actually had to relearn how to find things that I enjoyed and do them again, which is why like I got so big back into fishing.
Right.
Because when I was in New Mexico, I mean, you're in the middle of the fucking desert.
Yeah, you're
Like-
not going fishing.
Well, I did, but the closest body of water is like 2 hours away or 4
yeah,
hours
no,
away.
none of that.
So I didn't do it as often. But when I came home, here we have water everywhere. So, when I didn't have anything to do, I would look at my girlfriend at the time like, hey, I don't know if you want to come along or not, but, I'm about to go hit the lake for a couple of hours
Yeah.
because I needed to do something. I was getting stir crazy because I didn't know what to do with my hands.
I hate that feeling.
Yeah, I do. Which is probably why I had so many hobbies when I first came home, because it's just like I needed to keep my mind stuck on something. But
How much time are we at?
we are at 1:48, 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Oh my god.
This one's going to be a lengthy one. But this is
Damn.
what I try to tell you. Is like when we are actually on topic and we have things to talk about, dude, we talk.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
one's going to be a 2-hour episode.
What's the last thing?
Preparedness. What is
The veteran advice of the day.
veteran advice of the day?
Ties into our last talking point
Yeah.
too.
Being prepared. And that could be for veterans, but when you were talking or asking me last night, and you were like, can it fit in multiple? I was like, yeah, because it can go for dudes who are coming in, dudes who are in, and dudes who are coming out or have been out. Be prepared. For the guys that are going in, you need to be mentally and physically prepared. If you're thinking about going into the military, doesn't matter what branch of the military you are going into, you need to be ready physically and mentally, because it's going to be stressful. Basic training, no matter what, it's stressful because it's like, whether it's Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, Navy, it's going to be a stressful environment because that is how they've made it. They want to stress you the fuck out. You need to learn how to work under stress. So your mental game needs to be on point. And there are ways of bolstering that. You can do that through fitness, physical fitness, challenging yourself. Some dudes are already in that mindset, but you got to find what puts you in that mindset for yourself. You got to prepare yourself. Physically fit, you need to be exercising. You need to be running. You need to be doing calisthenics, weightlifting. Doesn't matter. Swimming. Doesn't matter. You need to be ready for basic training, because every single day in basic is going to be pushing you to your limits physically, especially Marine Corps.
Not every single day, but most days. Man, what would really help some of the kids that are going into Marine Corps recruit training is remembering that it's a mind game.
Yeah.
You're going to learn mental resilience whenever you go to boot camp. This is the nature of boot camp. But when it gets really bad, remembering that you're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
You're not. There isn't a version of this where you come out on top this early in the program. Like, you're designed to lose at the start. Remembering that it is a mind game. It is mental. Sure, it's physical, but, you know, you're an 18, 19-year-old kid. You could handle the physical.
Yeah.
Most people break the mental aspect.
Yeah.
Just remember it's a mind game. That's a good way to prepare.
Yeah, you've got to think through the stress. Because no matter, like, especially in Marine Corps or, like, Army, dudes that are, like, going to be in the shit, you've got to learn how to think when you're under pressure. And firefights are probably, like, the most pressure you'll ever feel. Or combat. Or just anything. Like, you need to be mentally stalwart for what's coming. And just understand that you're not going to win all the time. It's just how it's set up.
I mean, that's the way boot camp's set up.
Yeah, you're not going to win boot camp. If you think you're going into boot camp, you're going to be Billy Badass,
You'll win at the end.
You'll win by getting through it. That's how you win boot camp. Anything before, during that?
What about the peanut butter shot?
God!
You're toast if you can't prepare for that.
Yeah.
There's no way to prepare for it.
That's an experience, and I don't know if I even want to talk about it. I want them to experience that.
Fair. Drop trowel.
Yeah, drop trowel. Suck it up, Buttercup. It's going in. Anyways,
what about active duty?
Active duty, same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
Stay on your physical fitness, dude. You do not want to be that guy in your shop, in your platoon, in your group that is not on his shit, because it just puts eyes on you that you don't need. It's just added stress that you just don't need. And that's coming from someone who has been in that position.
Yeah, I've been in that position too.
Yeah,
after my injury, I was not willing to do what needed to be done to get myself back into shape, and it hurt.
Yep.
And I still did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But man, it sucked.
When you get out of shape, it's so much harder to get back into shape. It's easier for someone who's been out of shape getting into shape, but when you've been in shape, then you get out of shape, and then you try to go back.
You try to go back to what you used to be able to do, and you're like humbled.
It's hard, dude.
Humbled to the 9.
You're back at square one, so stay on your shit. Prepare your airmen or prepare your subordinates. You're gonna have dudes that have never been on a deployment before. They've never been outside of the United States, let alone outside of their own state. Be a good leader and prepare them. Get them ready. Get them able to do their job the way that they need to do it and do it right. Because some of you guys have jobs that require lives that have lives dependent on it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. Like, you guys know this, but it's just for those that don't get it. Like, make sure you're being a good leader and taking care of your dudes. Make sure they're on their P's and Q's. Make sure they're doing their training. Make sure their training's up to date. Keep on their shit.
And I'd say for veterans, have a plan. One of the reasons I re-enlisted was because I did not have a plan.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I did almost 8 was because I got to the end of my first 4 and I was like, man, what am I going to do? I've got nothing.
And if you have a plan, have another plan.
Yeah.
Have another plan after that.
Use the Skill Bridge program we talked about earlier if you need to.
Exhaust all of your resources. Go through them. Learn them. Find out what you can or cannot do.
And we will help you with that. You do not want to get to the outside and not have a roadmap.
Yep. Because I hate to say it, that little transfer program that you do for a week doesn't prepare you for shit.
It gives you some good information, but that is about where it ends.
Yeah, it gives you information, but they don't teach you anything about it.
Helps you build a resume and all that.
Yeah. And then just prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for what the civilian world is going to be for you, because it's not the same. It's not the same. Some people get out and they acclimate very well. Some people get out and they don't acclimate at all. It's hard for them. If you need to, go to therapy. Therapy is a great way of preparing yourself. for anything. Like if you don't
It's free in the military.
yeah, don't fall into the cusp of, I went through it, I'm going to handle it the way I know how to handle it, because sometimes people just don't want that. It makes it worse. Find a good place to talk to somebody, or talk to your homies. Don't be quiet. Don't lose contact with your dudes. You need someone to talk to, no matter if they're across the state or if they're your next door neighbor. Just prepare yourself mentally, talk to your homie, have a support group, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up. You got any save rounds?
Call your people. Call your people. Make sure they're good. Call your mom. Call your dad. Call your family. Call someone you haven't called in a long time, or that person that's just been in the back of your mind.
Call your boys.
Call your boys.
Make sure they're doing all right.
Call your boys. Call your girls. Everyone's going through something. Make sure you're checking on them. Make sure they're good to go. Because like we said last time, you never know what you'll get when you just ask your homie, "Hey, dude, you okay?" Like I just want to call and see how you're doing, and then you'll be surprised when they go, "Nah, to be honest, man, I'm not feeling too great." Yeah, that's all it takes. Get them talking. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we gotta go. That's the end of the podcast for today. Remember, we are going to be dropping our link information on our social media. So if you hear this episode, check out our social medias. We have Instagram. We have TikTok. We're working on Facebook. We have YouTube. YouTube's a big one. All right. We're going to be posting this on Spotify and YouTube, and highlights on our TikTok.
Yep.
So keep your eyes out for that. We love you. We hope you're having a great day. Thanks for sticking with us this long, and we will see you next time.
Get a real job.
All right.